Every morning he wakes up exhausted. Not tired the way you are after a late night. Tired in a different way. Heavy, foggy, like his body never will look out his bedroom window and ask, "What is that tree doing while I sleep?" And she has spent 3 summers trying to grow tomatoes in the same corner of her yard. New soil every year, premium fertilizer, different varieties. They always die, not slowly, suddenly. Perfectly healthy one week, collapsing the next. She's called herself a bad gardener so many times she's starting to believe it. She is not a bad gardener. That corner of her yard doesn't belong to her. It belongs to the tree standing 20 feet away. And that tree has been protecting its territory, chemically, deliberately, continuously, since long before she moved in. Welcome to Hidden Nature. What you are about to learn will change the way you look at every large tree near your home. And if you stay until the end, the last thing we cover may explain something about your mornings that you have been blaming on entirely the wrong thing. Today we are going into the hidden life of the black walnut, one of the most chemically dominant trees in North America, growing quietly in millions of American backyards, and doing something to the soil, the air, and the people nearby that most homeowners never discover. Let's start with the gardeners. Because if you have a black walnut tree anywhere on your property, or on your neighbor's property, there is a good chance you have spent years trying to grow things that simply would not grow. Tomatoes that looked perfect in May and collapsed by July. Hydrangeas that bloomed once and never came back. Patches of lawn that stay thin and pale no matter what you feed them. Year after year, same corner, same result. You weren't doing anything wrong. You were gardening inside a kill zone. The black walnut, Juglone nigra, is one of the most chemically dominant trees in North America. Its presence in your yard is not neutral. It is active. And it has been active every single day since it first put roots into your soil. What makes the black walnut different from almost every other tree in your yard is not its size, though it grows enormous. It is not its wood, though it is among the most valuable in North America. It is what the tree does underground, and in the air, and in the chemistry of everything that tries to grow near it. Most people with a black walnut never find out. They blame themselves. They change their soil. They switch their plants. They give up on certain corners of their yard entirely. Look at your yard. If there is a large tree with compound leaves, 15 to 23 leaflets arranged in pairs along a central stem, that releases a strong distinctive smell when the leaves are crushed. You may already be living with this. The black walnut does not announce itself. It simply establishes its territory. And it does it with a precision that took researchers decades to fully document. This tree has been in North America for millions of years. It was here before your house, before your neighborhood. In some cases, before anyone in your family was born. It knows how to survive. And the way it survives is by making sure nothing else thrives too close. Here's the mechanism. Once you understand it, you cannot unsee it. Every part of the black walnut, the roots, the leaves, the bark, the husks of the nuts, produces a compound called Juglone. The scientific term for what the tree does with it is allelopathy, the use of chemical compounds to suppress competing organisms. Researchers at Ohio State University have documented the reach of this toxic zone up to 80 feet from the trunk. Not 80 feet from the edge of the canopy, 80 feet from the trunk itself. Juglone does not wash away with rain. It does not break down quickly in soil. It binds to soil particles and remains biologically active for years, sometimes for decades after the tree itself is removed. What it does to plants is specific and irreversible. It interferes with cellular respiration, the process by which plant cells convert oxygen into energy. The plant does not wither from thirst or disease. It suffocates at the cellular level while appearing to have everything it needs. There's a documented condition in American horticulture called walnut wilt. Tomatoes are the most sensitive. A healthy tomato plant can show the first signs of collapse within 48 hours of its roots entering the juglone zone. Gardeners who don't know what they're looking at spend years rotating crops, replacing soil, switching varieties. The problem was never the soil they brought in. It was the chemistry already in it. And here is what makes this particularly striking. The effect does not end when the tree does. Cut down a black walnut, grind the stump, remove every visible trace of it, and the juglone in the soil will continue affecting what you plant for years afterward. The tree is gone. Its chemistry remains. And this is where many homeowners ask the obvious question. What if the tree is already here? What if your entire property sits inside that 80-foot radius? What if there is nowhere else to move the garden? Removing the tree sounds like the simple solution. But black walnut rarely leaves quietly. Researchers have found that juglone remains in roots, buried wood, and surrounding soil long after the trunk is gone. In many yards, sensitive plants continue struggling for several years after the tree has been removed. The reason is surprisingly simple. The chemistry was never stored only in the tree you could see. It was distributed through an underground network of roots extending far beyond the trunk itself. Even as those roots decay, they continue releasing compounds into the soil. For homeowners with smaller properties, the answer is usually adaptation rather than removal. Raised beds with physical root barriers, juglone-tolerant plants, and careful placement often succeed where repeated replanting fails. The goal is not to defeat the tree. The goal is to understand the territory you are sharing. The plants most sensitive to juglone include tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, potatoes, hydrangeas, apples, pines, and many ornamental flowers. The plants that tolerate it, native species that evolved alongside the black walnut for millennia, survive without difficulty. Your black walnut is not killing your garden maliciously. It is doing what organisms have done for hundreds of millions of years. It is protecting its resources, establishing a perimeter, ensuring that the water and nutrients in the soil within its reach belong to it. Understanding this does not make the problem go away, but it tells you exactly what to do about it. And the solution, once you know it, is remarkably simple. Move your sensitive plants outside the 80-foot radius. Plant inside that zone only what has evolved to tolerate juglone, native ferns, wild ginger, certain grasses, many spring bulbs. Your garden will not fight a war it cannot win, and the black walnut will continue doing exactly what it has always done, establishing its territory, feeding the wildlife that depends on it, growing toward the light with absolute patience. Now, there's a second part of this story, and it moves from your garden into your home in summer. On warm, humid nights, the leaves of the black walnut release volatile organic compounds into the air. This is not unusual for trees. Most trees emit compounds that contribute to the clean, restorative smell of a forest. But the compounds released by black walnut include trace concentrations of juglone derivatives. And if your bedroom window is open on a summer night, and the canopy of a black walnut is within reach of that window, you are breathing those compounds while you sleep. Your body does not fully register them as a threat, but your immune system does. Instead of the deep restorative sleep your body needs, the kind where your cells repair, your cortisol drops, your brain consolidates memory, your system spends a portion of the night in a low-level alert state. The The result is something many people describe, but rarely trace back correctly. You wake up more tired than when you went to bed. You have a slight heaviness behind your eyes, a subtle congestion you cannot explain. You have attributed it to allergies, to stress, to getting older. Check the distance from your bedroom window to the nearest black walnut. Veterinary medicine has documented the potency of these compounds with brutal clarity. Sawdust from black walnut wood, even a small amount mixed into horse bedding, causes severe systemic toxicity and laminitis in horses within hours. Not logs, not chunks of wood, sawdust, the fine particles released when the wood is cut. The same tree standing peacefully outside your bedroom window. This does not mean the tree is poisoning you. The concentrations in open air are far lower than in an enclosed stable, but the cumulative effect of months and years of summer nights with the window open, the canopy within reach, is something that many people feel without ever identifying the source. There are things you can do. They require no major changes, only awareness. Keep bedroom windows closed on hot, humid summer nights when the tree is in full leaf. If you have no choice but to sleep with windows open, a simple air purifier with a HEPA filter will capture particulate matter before it reaches you. The man who wakes up exhausted every morning. The woman whose garden dies in the same corner every year. Neither of them knew what was happening. Now you do. And there is one more member of the household this tree affects. One that spends far more time outside, far closer to the ground, than anyone sleeping upstairs. Dogs face a different kind of risk. Not from the living tree itself, but from what accumulates beneath it. As fallen walnut husks sit on damp ground through late summer and autumn, molds can begin to grow inside the decaying shells. Most people never notice this process. The husks simply appear old and harmless. But under warm and humid conditions, some molds can produce powerful compounds that affect the nervous system. Veterinary toxicologists have documented cases in which dogs that chewed or consumed these decaying husks developed tremors, disorientation, and, in severe situations, seizures. The danger is uncommon, but it is well known enough that many veterinarians recommend removing old walnut husks from areas where pets spend time. Like so many hidden relationships in nature, the solution is simple once you understand the cause. Awareness changes the landscape. A few minutes of cleanup can remove a risk that most people never realize exists. None of this means the black walnut is your enemy. Let me be clear about that. The black walnut is one of the most ecologically valuable trees in North America. Its nuts feed dozens of species through winter. Its wood is among the most prized and beautiful in the world. The wildlife that depends on it, the squirrels, the woodpeckers, the blue jays storing its nuts for winter, would lose something irreplaceable if these trees disappeared from the landscape. What the tree asks of you is simply this: respect the radius. Work with it, not against it. Here is what to do if you have one on your property. First, clear your roof and gutters of its leaves and husks before they decompose. The dark staining you sometimes see on concrete and wood from fallen walnut husks is the same compound that affects your garden. Decomposing leaf matter near your ventilation intake can be drawn into your home. Second, map the 80-foot zone. Walk it out with a tape measure if you haven't. Mark it. Then move everything that has been struggling outside that boundary. You will be startled by how quickly things recover when they are no longer competing with chemistry they were never designed to overcome. Third, plant what belongs inside the zone. Native plants that evolved alongside the black walnut thrive in juglone-rich soil. Wild ginger, native ferns, many spring bulbs, hostas, astilbe. These plants are not fighting the tree. They have been its neighbors for millions of years. Your garden didn't fail you. It was fighting a war you didn't know was happening. Now you know where the front line is, and the man waking up exhausted. Close the windows on humid summer nights when the canopy is full. Give it 1 month. See what changes. The black walnut has been establishing its territory in North American yards for longer than anyone reading this has been alive. It will continue doing so long after we are gone. It does not need our permission. It does not need our approval. It simply needs us to understand the rules it operates by. Rules that were written long before anyone planted a garden. The yard goes quiet at dusk. The garden looks peaceful. The tree stands enormous and still against the evening sky. But under your feet, right now, a network of roots is moving through your soil with chemical precision. In the air above your beds, compounds that have shaped this landscape for millions of years are doing exactly what they have always done. The hidden world was always there. You simply didn't know where to look. Now you do. And the next time you walk past a large tree with compound leaves, the next time your garden struggles in one particular corner, or you wake up heavy-headed on a humid summer morning, you will know to ask a different question. Not what is wrong with my plants, not what is wrong with me, but what is that tree doing while I'm not watching? Tell me in the comments. Do you have a black walnut near your home? Have you noticed the dead zone, the staining, the smell of the leaves? I want to hear about it. I read every single one. Subscribe to Hidden Nature. The hidden world is right outside your window. We are just learning to read it.